Hi everyone, and welcome to the Truck King YouTube channel. Well, the vehicle behind me has a nameplate you probably recognize, Trailblazer, but when you look at it, well no, it looks nothing like the old Trailblazer, and we need to talk about it. So in this video, we'll go for a drive, we'll tell you what this vehicle is all about, and then we're gonna have to talk about what's in a name. Let's start this one with the walk around. So we have the Trailblazer RS here today, and it is powered by a 1.3 liter turbocharged inline 3-cylinder engine, making 155 horsepower and 174 pound-feet of torque. Now in this case, it is mated to a 9-speed automatic because we have all-wheel drive. Now the RS model is meant to be the sporty model in the lineup, and I think you can tell. It's two-tone with the black roof on body color, looks pretty cool. It gets a unique fascia and grille. You get RS badging, blacked out Chevy badges, a really nice set of 18-inch wheels, and it comes together to make this Trailblazer look pretty sharp. Well folks, here we are in the Trailblazer, and we are blazing trails. One of my local roads here, it closes down every winter because it gets water and snow over the road, and it's pretty much just as gnarly as you'd want to get with something like a Trailblazer. So, Dad, you're driving. How is it getting through here for you? How's it feeling?
It's pretty wet, and it's only getting wetter. But it was very interesting to see. I went through here in two-wheel drive. This vehicle is front-wheel drive bias, and then there's an all-wheel drive setting, and it's significant, the difference, because I mean the front wheel took it through, but there was a lot of spinning and the traction control kept intervening. I turned it off halfway through, so then after stopping and turning around and coming back through again, did it in all-wheel drive. And yeah, picks up better and goes along better. So you can definitely feel it, and it's one of the things that would give you a little more confidence if you own this vehicle.
Yeah, going into something like that, you hit that all-wheel drive button, and then like you said, you don't have to worry about the computer thinking or rerouting power. It just sort of feels more confident, like the power's there, right?
Yeah, it's that one step up from a straight front-wheel drive system, which generally they work pretty well in situations like that, but you got a little more height in this. It's just that this is not an off-road vehicle by any stretch, so let's get that out of the way right now. But it is enough that if you get into the slush, if you get into the mud, and you get into some water like what you've just seen, it worked really well.
What was interesting too, we made a point to do a from a stop takeoff in just regular mode, and then with that all-wheel drive button pressed, and you can see the difference here. In all-wheel drive, the thing just got going. In two-wheel drive, you had tons of spin and had to reroute the power. So it's nice to have that button there.
So earlier this year, we had a Buick Encore GX, which is virtually the same vehicle as this Chevrolet Trailblazer. And the thing that I'm curious about, GM, of course, has been doing this forever, which is, you know, rebadging. However, I think that this vehicle works better as a Chevy than as a Buick. And I'm looking at that strictly from a name recognition and what people expect of a Chevrolet versus what they expect of a Buick. And of course, we'd also have to extend this conversation to how this will work offshore, because this vehicle is also sold overseas.
Of course.
But for my purposes, being very North American centric and Detroit centric, this is a good Chevrolet vehicle. When I was driving it as a Buick, I didn't care for the fact that it was just a little too small and a little too cheap. Buick to me means more upmarket. Mm-hmm. So I don't know, what do you think, Steve?
Well, to your point, it feels like Chevy thinks that too, because in the United States, this Trailblazer actually starts a hair under $20,000. So that's a really attractive price point right there. But yeah, I totally agree with you. And the biggest point that I want to make here are the powertrains. 3 cylinders, and there's nothing inherently wrong with the 3-cylinder, but Three cylinders are generally noisy, buzzy little engines, and this one is no different. The power is okay, the turbo gets you moving, but when you put your foot into it, it just sounds really bad, and it sounds like it's really working hard. Yeah, to me, if you want to put something like that into a Chevy, fine. For the Buick, it should have been something a little more refined, a little more upscale. But yeah, here in the Trailblazer, I got no issue with it because the price point is so attractive. So driving this Trailblazer also brings up another bit of a bigger question in automotive, and for me it's what is in a name? Because Chevy has now done this with two different vehicles. Both the Trailblazer and the Blazer are back on sale, but they are nothing like the old Trailblazer and Blazer. Those were real SUVs. They had good off-road packages. These are small crossovers. It's a whole different ball of wax. So the question is, you know, is it offensive that Chevy took those names that had some kind of value and some heritage and put them on these vehicles? Or from a business point of view, I think obviously it makes sense from their perspective because everyone knows those names.
It's familiarity, and
yeah.
you know, I don't exactly feel the same way you do, because every manufacturer owns X number of names, and over the years they use them, and then every once in a while something goes out of production, the name gets put on a shelf, and it sits there until some marketing guy comes along and goes, hey, why don't we use Durango again? Or hey, why don't we use Blazer again? You know, I mean, if you take a look at what a Blazer started out as in the 70s versus now, yeah. But then again, maybe part of it is if you're really old, you remember the old models. If you're your age, and only it's because you're in the business that you know this.
You're right.
You would look at this and go Trailblazer or Blazer, and you go, yeah, okay, I guess that's what it is, because you don't remember the old one. You're not old enough.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. But I think the one where people are really getting upset, and this is away from this vehicle for a second, but is the Mustang Mach-E. Should that thing have a Mustang badge on it? And what does that name Mustang mean? These are the questions. I don't really have answers to them. I'm just asking. Obviously, Ford figured, well, we think it's a performance vehicle. We're going to call it a Mustang, but a lot of the hardcore guys are upset. So I guess after listening to us, let me turn it around to you guys. How do you feel about the fact that this is the new Chevy Trailblazer? How do you feel about the new Blazer or the Mustang? Do these vehicles really deserve those badges, or is it just a marketing exercise and who really cares? Please share your thoughts with us. I'd love to hear them.
Yeah, this is something that we could argue about for quite some time.
Well, that's it for this one, everybody. Of course, I need to hear your thoughts on the whole name debate. Does it really matter that Chevy dug up the Trailblazer name and put it on this small, inexpensive crossover? Or should we be up in arms that a great nameplate like Trailblazer has been wasted? There's nothing wrong with this vehicle, but again, do not expect it to uphold its heritage, because it straight up doesn't. Well, that's it for this video. Now, like I said, please leave us that comment. Let me know what you think. As always, while you're down below, don't forget to hit like, hit subscribe, hit join to become a member of the channel, and then come right back here to Truck King to see what we're testing next. See ya.